Hi and welcome to today's video on how to choose ice skates. So the reason that this video's come about is because of these. These are my ice dance partner's WIFA champion lights that she's had for a few years now, and they're beginning to cause problems to her because I don't know if you can see inside, maybe not with this light, but there's the actual back bottom of the boot, no you can't see, but the back inside here, all of the lining's sort of worn out, and unfortunately the boot was bought in the wrong size. So these are 5.5s. That's UK 5.5. I don't know if you can see on there. If I turn the boot around, so they are UK 5.5, and you can see that the width is LL. So that's a narrow fitting in a 5.5 size boot. Now we came to buy some new boots, and the problems that we faced are the reason that I'm making this video, so hopefully this will help you when you're choosing a boot. So these are ice dance, these will be replaced by ice dance boots. These are a normal free solo boot, so you could jump in these or whatever, and these are quite a rigid boot. So the champion light is really quite a rigid boot. Even after a lot of breaking in, it's still a very rigid boot. So that would be the first thing that I would consider if I were you in terms of buying new boots. It's called being over booted, I think, when you get boots that are higher than your skating ability by a long way. So if you are just about jumping single jumps, then spending a lot of money on a boot that's stiff enough and capable of taking triple and quad jumps could be an error, because they're going to be a very tough boot. They're going to be quite hard to break into. They tend to have less padding and be quite stiff. They need to be stiff to land jumps of that height and that power. So there's a lot of energy going through the boot. So if you get a boot that's way above your level, or if you're just learning to skate, or you're sort of in the first couple of years, then getting a boot that's going to be hundreds and hundreds of pounds or hundreds and hundreds of dollars could actually hamper your learning to a degree, because you're going to be trying to skate in a really rigid boot that's way above your level. So although you should always allow for a little bit of growth in terms of the way that your skating is going to get better, so you want something that's going to last you for a few years, buying the absolute top of the range boot is not always advisable. So just get the right boot for you. Now these are a 5.5, which was the wrong size. So my ice dance partner had her feet measured professionally, and that's something that I would advise anybody do, actually, is to get their feet professionally measured by a skate technician or somebody that fits skates, because you're going to need to know the length of your foot. You're going to need to know the width at the ball of your foot, and also the width of the ball of your foot when you're standing on it, so that when there's pressure pushing the ball of your foot out wider, then you need that width measurement as well, so you can gauge how the skate's going to feel when you're actually standing in it, rather than just measuring your foot when there's no pressure on it. So that's the first thing. I would get your feet professionally measured. When you're fairly sure that you know the size, then hopefully you'll fit within sizes. So skates normally come in half sizes, so you'll have a 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. Unfortunately for my ice dance partner, when she was measured for these boots, she was sort of kind of in between in terms of the width and the length, so they opted for the 5.5, whereas actually that's what later became a problem and why these boots are being changed now. So as they've got older and a little bit looser, the boot's beginning to move, so the foot is beginning to move around inside the boot and cause rubbing at the ankle, and as the boot moves across and the foot moves inside, then this top edge, this top part of the boot then digs into your leg, and you get a lot of flapping, and as well it can be hard to hold an edge, because you sort of set your foot up for the edge and then your foot can move inside the boot and pull you from an outside onto an inside a little bit, or an inside onto an outside. So there's just movement of your foot in the boot, which is what you don't want. So this comes to, even though you've had your feet properly measured, it's actually trying on boots, which she and indeed I didn't have the opportunity when we got our skates. It was a case of get your boots measured and then go to the WIFA agent and then get your boots ordered, and then by the time you got them, you just had to hope that they were good. So what you really need to do is to try on your boots. Now, WIFA aren't so popular anymore. A lot of people go in for Edea or Risport, Reidell. I don't know. I mean, Jackson has been going for a long time. So there's lots of different boot manufacturers. And my advice really is to choose the boot that fits your foot. So they've all got different shapes to them. So the shape that the boot is made to is made around a mould. So you sort of have a mould, and then the leather is sort of pressed over the top of the boot, of the last. So different companies have different ideas of what your foot's gonna look like. So they have different shaped lasts, and they make the boot over the last, and so you need to choose a last that is most like your foot, and they all use different ones, so you need to try different manufacturers. So you might find that you have a Risport shaped foot, or you might find that you have more of the sort of pointed Edea shaped foot. Some people say that the Risport are wider, that Edea are a slimmer fit. Reidell will differ again, Jackson again. So the best thing is to try them on to see which is the best manufacturer for your feet. So herein lies the problem, and herein lies why I've made this video, because the problem is that when you go to a shop and you say, I would like to try on this boot please, and they go, okay, great, what size are you? And you say, oh, I'm blah blah blah, I'm a 3.5 or a 5.5 or whatever, and they almost certainly won't have the boot in your boot size and your width fitting. So you could say, I would like it in a 5.5C or a 5.5L, or depending on which company you're using, a B or a D, they seem to use different letters for the widths. The chance of them having your size in that width is small. So what you have to do really, or what we've had to do, is very few people, this is a solo sort of free skating boot, so it's a bit higher at the back, but an ice dance boot would be lower, it would be cut lower, which is what she's going to. Ice dance boots are even harder to come by in stock of shops, and so it's almost impossible to say I would like a 5 in a C width. in any manufacturer. They don't want to order it in. If they haven't got it in stock, they don't want to order it in for you, because a lot of places have got a sort of contract or a deal with the supplier that once they get shipped in, they're sort of stuck with them. They can't sort of return them. So a lot of shops that we found, even some major ice rinks in the UK, have sort of said, well, we can get it in for you, but not just to try on. So it's, if you can find a supplier where you can go to them, you know, I think I've got a Jackson's shape foot, but I also would like to try some Edea. Could I order both of them in to try on and choose the best one? If you can find that shop or that skate shop in a rink or that supplier that will do that, then they are definitely the people to go with, because you're going to be able to try them on and properly find out whether they fit. So what we've had to do is, we found a shop that had got she's decided to it was out of Risport and Edea, but the only boot we could try to find to try on in a 5 was the Edea. So we've gone for the Edea in a UK 5, so she's gone down half a size. Now, she wasn't actually able to try on the dance boot. She was actually only able to try on the solo free boot. So, but we were hoping that they're made on the same last, so it's all Edea, so the dance boot will have more or less the same shape as the solo free single boot, but it just won't be, the dance boot will be lower. So on the theory that the solo free single boot will be more or less the same shape, then she decided to go for a 5 in that. So the next thing you're going to need to do is take your size, whether it's an American size or a European size or a British size, and convert it into ice skating terms. You'll find conversion charts for this online for each company. So we know that UK size 5 is an Edea size 255. The most commonly imported into the UK is a C width. So although she's got a slightly narrow foot, she's tried on a C width in the one boot and she's happy with that. So the next thing you need to do is to find your right width. So after measuring your foot or having your foot measured, then you need to go to a conversion chart, and it will say that if you're, you know, going down the chart, if your foot is this wide, then you'll be an L width or a C width or a D width. So you need to find the width of your boot, and then order them from a company that allows them to be returned. So, you know, don't order anything in that you can't return, because order it in. If you've got the money, then you could even order 2 sets in from different companies, so you could try the 2 on and then send back the one that you didn't want. But obviously you've got to have a lot of money to do that. If not, then order, you know, one at a time and then try it on, and you can actually see how your foot feels in it. So a lot of your friends might be all in Edea, or they might be all in Jackson, but it's the boot that is the best shape for your foot, that will be the comfiest, that will help you to skate the best. Don't overboot yourself, so don't choose one that's really too stiff. Just get one that's the right stiffness, allowing for a couple of years of getting better and growth. And the next thing is the blade. So be careful, if you're buying boots for the first time, you need the right blade length. If you're changing boots, so we're going from, or she's going from a 5.5 to a 5. So that's going to be going down from this is a 10-inch blade. Incidentally, if you want to find the blade length, then it's there. It's written normally on the foot plate of the boots. This is 10-inch. So she's going to have to go down to a 9 3/4. You can go down in fractions, so you don't have to, go down quarters, different fractions. You can go down a quarter. I think you can go down a third as well. So you can choose blades. We both skate, as you can see in John Wilson Coronation Dance. So that's the Coronation profile, cut shorter on the tail because it's a dance blade, and these are non-parabolic, which we like. So just bear that in mind. You want the blade to come to the end there and the end there. You don't want it to sort of poke over, and you don't want it to be too much under. So if you're changing boot size, just bear in mind that you want to choose the right blade size, and it's not always a good thing to have the person that supplies the boot fit the blades. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Just be careful. A lot of people, if they fit the blade for you, they put all of the screw holes in. These have got more screws in with time, but when they were newer, they didn't have half so many in. But they'll put all of the screws in, and it's really hard to move the blade around to set it up for your feet. So you just sort of want to set it up with the moving ones, these slotted ones, and then a few just to hold it whilst you're setting the blade up. And then when you're happy, you can, if you want, you can put more screws in later or whatnot. But just be wary of that as well. So I think the bottom line here that I'm trying to get to is that you should get the boot that fits your foot, not necessarily the ones that all your friends have got. So it's nice to see a boot and think, oh, I really like the look of that one, but you really need to try on the different manufacturers to find out if you've got a Jackson's shape or an Edea shape or a whatever shape, a Risport shape. So go with the boot that fits you the best. Don't overboot yourself, so don't spend thousands on a boot if you're not that good a skater, because it's going to take you ages to break in, because they're going to be really, really stiff. You want it stiff enough to do the job and stiff enough to take you through a few years of getting better, but not one that's going to last you for 20 years, because you don't know how you'll be skating, and you're going to spend many of those years in agony trying to break them in. And convert your UK or US or European size to ice skate world terms by looking at a chart. So it's going to be something like 210, 220, 230. Make sure that you get the blades the right length, not over and not under, and choose a supplier where you can return the boot. So you try it on. If you don't like it, you can return it. That's crucial, because then you can try different manufacturers and you can find a boot that actually feels good on your foot rather than one that looks good on paper. And that's it. I think I've spoken enough on how to choose boots. So this is going to be part of a series of videos. We've actually gone for the Edea, so it's going to be breaking in and using the Edea boots. A good point that I should point out about Edea boots is they don't seem to publish the widths of the boots very readily. So there are different widths that Edea are available in, but I can't find charts for them anywhere. So we're getting the most common width into the UK, which is C. She's tried it on, it seems to fit okay, even though it's normally a bit wider than she'd go for. The Edea boot seems quite padded across here in this section, so it's holding a foot really well. So just bear that in mind, that Edea are often supplied in a C, but they do come in a load of different widths. So if you can find an Edea foot width chart saying what is an A in terms of inches, what is a B, what is a C, what is a D, then please leave a comment below, because I would love to find that out, and I would post links to it on the website icetwizzle.com. So this is part of a series, so we're going to be breaking in and see how we get on with these new Edea boots, and it'll be a good guide for anybody, I think, getting Edea boots, whether they're getting dance or solo free. So keep in touch by leaving a message below. Don't forget to subscribe, because there's going to be a whole host of these videos on the Edea boots coming up. And yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. If you get a chance, please visit icetwizzle.com and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye.